Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Coach JC. Everyone gather around should be a good one today. Today's topic is love yourself enough to let yourself know that he isn't your soulmate and stop just settling just to say you have a man. Bottom line, a lot of women they get into some women they get into situations where they get into relationships, get into marriages where they just say they have a man, but that man isn't really engraved into her heart. He has no love for her, no kind of vision for her. Um, really just stagnant as far as the movement, as far as how he tries to express himself to her. He's not really tough guy, just like a go getter. And it's like the old saying, you have a peaceful man, then at least you have a man. No, you have a peaceful man, then guess what? You don't have a man. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that a lot of women got to realize when they come into the dating game. When they out here dating, when they're out here getting relationships, getting settled down, you want to be with a person who has your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, and is connected to you inwardly and outwardly. Mess with you on your good days, your bad days. Days you don't feel like getting up, days that hey, you may not look, beautiful. You may not look pretty within yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. But to him, he feels like, hey, you're beautiful with makeup, without makeup. You lose weight, you don't lose weight. You still that same person that he seen when he first met you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, don't just settle. Life is way too short to be settling, saying, hey, I'm not here married, or hey, I'm in a relationship, and the person is not covering you, not praying over you, don't have your best interests at heart. You filling up with them, cheating, lying to you. He had different multiple women he's going through, or it's just not really a good overall makeup. You know what I'm saying? You got beg him constantly to either spend time with you or find work, or there's a lot of confusion, a lot of arguments, a lot of miscommunication between you guys. Y'all don't seem to be on the right page, and it's just not good. It could be financially, emotionally, spiritually. Y'all just not on the same page, and y'all not on the same wavelength. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not equally yoked. And like I said, you know, if he's God sent, he's either gonna be God sent or he's counterfeit. You know what I mean? If he's God sent, he gonna be for you. Not to say y'all not gonna argue. Like I said, y'all gonna argue, y'all gonna have a disagreement. You're gonna come to a medium where y'all can be like, you know what, I messed up. I was in the wrong right there. You was in the wrong right there, and y'all come together. Y'all not gonna let one argument turn into two or three. Y'all able to talk over issues, evaluate each other's issues, talk about each other's downfall, where they can improve without it being an argument. Like they like to call it, effective criticism. You know what I'm saying? So you always have to be mindful, be very conscious of how you talk to each other, speak to each other, and especially when you're around your kids, when you're around your family members. You want to be really polite to your person, because like I said, even us as men, like I said, we'll sit up there, we'll be polite to everybody in the world. We'll be, chivalrous for us. Everybody would come to our wife or woman we're with, we'd be very violent and be very disrespectful with. So we just gotta work on that as well too. Kind of, check your temperature before you get into the room. How are you feeling today? That's why coaching is always important to kind of check in where you're at. Checking where you're at. What level you're at. What number would you think you're at? 8 or 9, or what mentality are you at? So you always have to be conscious and be very aware of what you're bringing out with your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's good, it's great to have a man, but like I said, you're only doing this life thing one time. You know what I'm saying? So if you're with somebody not emotionally there for you, physically there for you, mentally there for you, they really have your best interest. Like I said, he can go days or weeks without talking to you. He can go days or months without communicating with you. Then, probably not the person to be with. You know what I'm saying? Deep down, like I said, you know what's right, we know what's wrong, but it's like the desperation of being alone, or desperation of not finding somebody else. you gotta process it, acknowledge it, you know, acknowledge it, but also understand that, hey, God wants something better for you. You gotta tell yourself internally each and every day, like, you know what, this ain't what God wants for me. You know what I'm saying? I know God has something better for me. I know I got better standards for myself. So that's why it's always good to have a good self-definition. I'm talking about this in a lot of videos. You gotta have self-definition about who you are, how your own core values, your core beliefs, and you have to know what you're gonna put up with, your non-negotiables, your negotiables, you are gonna put up with. Because like I said, life ain't gotta be stressful. Life ain't gotta be on the edge where your heartbeat is going 99 miles an hour. You don't have to be all that. I'm not saying life is gonna be perfect. How life is gonna be, stress-free. Nah, it's gonna have the ups and downs, but it's good to eliminate a lot of that. And it can help your mental state of mind and health overall. You just cut back on dealing with people not right for you. You know what I'm saying? You're not a man of word. Like I said, you're not really being the man he's supposed to be or the person that God sent him to be. Then it's time to move on. Like I said, the problem is we still want to hold on to that milk. That's a spoiled milk that's been in the milk, that's been in the refrigerator for 2-3 weeks. You don't want to throw it away. But you got to throw it away and buy some new milk. But that's all I really got to say. Make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Coach AC. Until next time, out.